On this episode of China Uncensored, the One China policy. Welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your Prince of Paradox, Chris Chappell. There can be only one! China, that is. The problem is, two governments claim to be that one China. First, there's the Republic of China, aka Taiwan, and then there's the People's Republic of China, aka Mainland China. Sounds confusing? That's because it is, and it's caused a diplomatic headache for the world. So why are there two Chinas claiming to be the one China? Well, it started like this. First there was a Kuomintang, also spelled like this, led by Sun Yat-sen, and they officially established the Republic of China in 1911 and controlled mainland China after the fall of the Qing dynasty. Already confusing, isn't it? But then World War II happened and Japan invaded and the Kuomintang was at war. Once Japan was defeated, the Kuomintang-controlled Republic of China gained a seat as a permanent member of the UN Security Council. It also reclaimed Taiwan from 50 years of Japanese control. But soon Mao Zedong and his army of communist guerrillas figured it was a good idea to plunge the country back into war and resume their fight with the Kuomintang. They had tried to overthrow the Kuomintang for years, usually with disastrous results for the communists, but having just spent the past 8 years fighting the highly modernized and ferocious Japanese army, the Kuomintang was not in tip-top shape, and in 1949 the communists seized control of mainland China, forming the People's Republic of China. The Kuomintang retreated to Taiwan and moved the government of the Republic of China over there. So now we have two governments claiming to control the one China, so then the rest of the world was like, WTF, who's the legitimate government of China? Which was kind of a problem because China, whichever one was China, had a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. That wasn't too much of a problem for the 50s and 60s because the communists ruling mainland China were more interested in starving and murdering Chinese people, and it was the height of the Cold War, and since Russia was already on the Security Council, the US, France, and England much preferred to recognize Taiwan as China. But by the 70s, China, that is the People's Republic of China, and the Soviet Union had a falling out, and Nixon, seeing China as now a counterbalance to the USSR and even a means of ending the Vietnam War, began pushing for normalized relations with China, the People's Republic of China. Mao must have also realized the benefit of having a one-vote veto in the UN, and so since you could only recognize one China, it was decided that China was no longer China, but Taiwan, and China became recognized as China. And that's how one of the world's worst violators of human rights is responsible for how the UN handles violators of human rights. So then where does that leave China-China relations today? Well, the Chinese regime, aka the People's Republic of China, that is ruled by the Chinese Communist Party, considers Taiwan a breakaway province and has vowed to retake it by force if necessary, to finally bring an end to their longtime foes, the Republic of China. And so there are a lot of missiles pointed at Taiwan on the mainland side of the Taiwan Strait. As of 2012, it was more than 1,600 missiles to be exact. So why didn't they ever invade? Well, that's because the US has been loading up Taiwan with military hardware, giving aid, and have even built radio towers with the purpose of spreading democracy in China. Mainland China, that is. Douglas MacArthur, once the US Supreme Commander of the Southwest Pacific area, referred to Taiwan as an unsinkable aircraft carrier. And so the US has made it pretty clear that if China has a problem with China, they also have a problem with the US. But that doesn't mean the US recognizes China as China. Certainly not. While most countries in the world have to state very clearly which China they recognize, and they almost always recognize the People's Republic as China, the US is, well, a superpower and does pretty much whatever it wants. So instead of saying either China is China or China is China, the official US position is that it acknowledges that both sides claim to be China, agrees Taiwan isn't its own sovereign nation, which would mean that it were an independent country that is not China, which it most definitely is not, but doesn't recognize the PRC's sovereignty over Taiwan either. But for basically all other countries, not clearly siding with the People's Republic can have pretty dire consequences. Since it is a permanent member of the UN Security Council, it can use its veto power to block or threaten to block UN peacekeeping operations, as it did in Haiti in '96, Guatemala in '97, and Macedonia in '99. Macedonia has since severed ties with Taiwan. Then there's the messy diplomatic situation Japan recently found itself in. First of all, China and Japan don't really get along anyway, but this year, to mark the 2-year anniversary of the March 11th tsunami, Japan included a Taiwanese representative in a section reserved for diplomatic envoys. The People's Republic was furious that a Republic of China representative was put on par with diplomats, because Taiwan is just a breakaway province, certainly not an independent country, and certainly not China. So China, the People's Republic, refused to send their ambassador to the memorial commemorating people who were actual victims. So why did Japan do the unthinkable and treat Taiwan like it was diplomatically on par with China? Well, this was an anniversary of the tsunami, and Taiwan did donate a lot of money to the relief effort. Almost $200 million. That's more than 127 other countries combined. Kind of deserves some recognition. Actually, for the 1-year anniversary of the disaster, Japan, then dominated by the pro-Beijing Democratic Party of Japan, put the Taiwanese representative in the general seating area with private sector representatives. Considering all Taiwan did for the relief effort, not too many Japanese people were pleased with their government for that diplomatic slap on the face, and then Prime Minister Yoshihiko Noda was forced to apologize to Taiwan. But the absolute most frustrating part of all of this, the bane of Chinese language learners the world over, is the character writing system. In Taiwan, they use traditional characters, basically the same writing system that China, mainland China that is, not the People's Republic mainland China, but the mainland China before that, had used for thousands of years. But now, mainland China, the People's Republic of China that is, used simplified characters, something invented by the communists that stripped a lot of the original meaning of some of the characters. So do you study the writing system that has thousands of years of history and carries the rich inner meaning of Chinese culture, or do you study the one that's used by over 1 billion people? So what does the future hold? Well, with the U.S.'s support of Taiwan and the U.S.'s military pivot to the Asia-Pacific region, China probably won't invade Taiwan with military force. The People's Republic of China, I mean. That China won't invade that other China. But Taiwan's current president, Ma Ying-jeou, has made cross-strait relations closer in the 5 years he's been in office than they've been in 6 decades, something he's gotten a lot of criticism for inside of Taiwan. For example, he has signed several trade agreements that some say disadvantage Taiwan. His government has also opened up independent tourism to Taiwan from China, mainland China that is. So is that selling out Taiwan to mainland interests, or is it just giving mainlanders a chance to see that life ain't so bad on the other side of the strait, especially when Taiwan operates under a free and democratic system? In any case, there's probably no way any president of Taiwan would allow the Republic of China to dissolve and be consumed by the Communist Party-controlled People's Republic of China. And as we've seen, it's very unlikely that the PRC, that is, mainland China, will invade. So then the big question mark is, what happens if someday the Chinese Communist Party collapses and loses control of the mainland? People have been predicting that since, well, they took over in 1949, but now even Chinese leader Xi Jinping has said that corruption could actually bring down the Communist Party, not to mention a host of economic, social, and political problems plaguing China, mainland China. So what happens if the People's Republic does collapse? Will the Republic of China take over the mainland again? Will simply another new government take the place of the Communist Party and you'll still have the one China problem? Or will the island of Taiwan eventually just become its own independent sovereign nation? What do you guys think? Comment below or write to me on China Uncensored Facebook page or Twitter account. And as always, thanks for watching. See you next time.